Good evening and welcome everyone on board. Welcome to today's AgLab on Apple Tech series. So this basically is the second event on our series of discussions on Apple value chains. So in the first one, we had a panel discussion which was represented by the government. We had representation from the exporter, processor. We also had representations from two agtech companies, mainly representing the mechanization side of things as well as the remote sensing side of things. So now carrying this to the next level, we basically this is very focused on the innovations again on Apple Tech and basically the Apple value chain. We are very fortunate to have the support of our co-host, FIL Industries, being represented here today by the Group Executive Director, Syed Junaid Altaf. So once again, I would like to thank you all for taking out time to attend this event. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a very interesting discussion, and also the presentations, all of them have presentations to also showcase what they are doing in Apple in horticulture crops. So I'll just hand this over to Junaid to take over the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhijit. I would once again like to welcome everybody to this wonderful opportunity in talking about the various facets of the Apple industry, the interventions being done across the board, and the future of this industry in India. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the panelists who've taken out the time to be with us today and share their relevant experiences in this domain. I think Apple is a very unique opportunity for India vis-a-vis where we stand today and where we can be. Over the last few years, many changes at the ground levels, starting from interventions in the planting varieties, cold chain, fruit handling, ag tech interventions, farm mechanization. There is a whole lot that has been happening, and I think there's a fundamental progressive culture that is coming about. However, this is a very long road ahead vis-a-vis where we are and what we can be. I think it would be wonderful to share our experiences as corporates within this domain, and and set out benchmarks and the potential that lies within this industry. I understand, and I'm aware that this comes against the backdrop of 2022 industry, where the farmers are seeing multiple challenges, ranging from logistics to pricing, and even corporates across different facets have faced substantial challenges, potentially by virtue or actually of the weather dynamics for this particular year. I think all of us in horticulture understand the changing dynamics of the global climate landscape and how this is going to affect or could affect agriculture and horticulture going forward. I would certainly hope we see a better 2023 for the Apple industry at large across the country, and I look forward to hearing and talking to everybody in this wonderful conversation today. Thank you very much.
I would now request Amit from 7-Star Fruits Micro Group. Amit, are you there?
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you? Am I audible, Abhijit?
Yeah, you are.
Wonderful. And I have got small presentation to make, and thanks to Junaid to set the perspective about the challenges, the environment. Let me share the presentation. But as Junaid rightly mentioned about the climate changes, the kind of the issues the farmers are facing. Will you able to see the screen now?
We can see it. You just need to move it to slideshow mode.
Is it comfortable now? Great. Thanks again, Abhijit, and thanks, Junaid, also for setting up the perspective. As you rightly mentioned about the kind of challenges the farmers are facing logistically, but the kind of opportunities also. This is the year where we have seen a lot of things. I would better to call it as a 2.0 version of Apple production in India. And you rightly said that 2022 is the year where we will see a lot of changes. So my name is Amit again. Thanks for this particular invite. I'm from Seven Star Foods Private Limited. So I'm going to discuss in next 10 minutes about who we are, what we are doing it, the current construct, the global perspective, Indian stand. There are certain shifts, as Junaid has already mentioned about the paradigm shift which is happening in the Apple production. And undoubtedly, the kind of a game changer approach is what we are trying to bring it exclusively for the farmers, so that they can have experience the kind of the income enhancement over the period of time. So without wasting time, let me introduce ourselves. We are from Myco Group, founded in 1964, and that's the kind of a inspiration. Hello. Abhijit, am I audible?
You are. Please go.
Okay.
Can hear you.
Okay. So we have taken a cue from our inspirational leader, our late chairman, Dr. B.R. Barwale, widely known as the father of Indian seed industry. And he has been recognized with a lot of awards also. Padma Bhushan he has been awarded. And this fundamental of Myco is primarily providing the marketing of seeds. We are actually into the business of tech licensing and tech development. Coming down to the primary mission, as rightly said about the small farmers, we are actually trying to improve the income of the farmers, specifically the small holding farmers, with a sustainable manner, and with the core values of the farmer first, people, and the kind of innovative technology which we are trying to bring it onto the table for the Indian farmers. If you will see the background of Seven Star, Myco acquired Seven Star in 1992, and since then they have never looked back, primarily into the business of exports of fresh fruits. And they actually entered into the planting material business and striving towards providing the new genotypes, new planting material, with having the genetical identity, disease-free plants. We have got the state-of-art tissue culture laboratory. We have got a good presence across India. We have got the presence in Himachal. We have got the tissue culture laboratory based in Jalna, in Maharashtra. And primarily, the perspective is to bring the good global practices, horticulture practices, to the Indian farmers. Now, coming to the global scenario of Apple, if you will see, globally, we are producing around 82 to 83 million tons of Apple production across globe. China is a leading player into that, producing around 50% of the total production. We are ranked 5th into the race, I would say, again a race. And then US is contributing around 5 million tons. Then we have got a Turkey and a Poland a little bit ahead of us. Like the other crops, we are having a very less productivity. We are having around, if you will see the screen, then our global average is around 17 to 18 tons per hectare. However, our productivity is not even 8 to 10 tons per hectare. However, it differs from state to state in India. And the reason is quite simple, that we don't have the good genetics onto the place. our counterparts, global counterparts, or the farmers actually shifted it from the traditional one to the high density plantations. And undoubtedly, we have got a lack of infrastructure facilities also, which is actually hampering the total production. And now coming down to the Indian perspective, as the Indian landscape about the, if you will see in apple, we primarily it is confined to the Kashmir Valley, and we have got in Himachal 90% of the total production in the area confined to these two geographies. However, there is little bit of a contribution also coming from Arunachal, Uttaranchal, Nagaland. If you'll see the clear-cut balance sheet of the country, we are the net importers, and every year, last year, I think we have imported 400,000 tons of apple, and despite of the fact that our acreages under cultivation is around 300,000 hectares, we have got around 9 crores plants which is existing at this particular moment in time in India. But again, due to the lower productivity, we are import dependent. So the balance sheet in itself indicating that there is a clear-cut opportunity for the domestic production to take it from this particular level to the next level. And there are certain countries like taking the advantage, like Iran and Turkey is clear-cut taking the advantage of this kind of imports and our reliability on the global production. That is actually a problem statement in front of us, and this is giving us a chance to shift it from the traditional practices to the new technical practices. I'm not saying it is very new. From last half a decade or a 1 decade, people are trying different things to bring it onto the table. They are converting the conventional practices and coming to the high density plantation. And the clear cut perspective is very much clear to the farmers. They want to shift it from the conventional one because one, the land utilization pattern is not very fantastic over there. On per hectare basis, if you will see 250 to 300 per hectare plants are cultivated on the conventional plants, but if in a high density, we have got 3,000 odd plant per hectare. So land utilization is undoubtedly is better with high density plantation. However, there is clear cut investment which requires at the initial stages. But again, farmers are not shying away with such kind of investment. They considering the payback period, which is coming very early from 5th year onwards, the payback is coming onto the table. They are getting the quality fruiting material, which is fetching up very good prices in the market. Yields are comparatively 7 to 8 times better than the conventional one. So this is some of the clear-cut opportunities the farmers are looking, and that's why they are shifting from the traditional one to the high-density plantation. If you will see the opportunities which is lying in the front end and the back end of the value chain of the apple, then at this particular moment in time, if given an opportunity to all the Indian farmers, I think, correct me, that there is 100 crore of planting metal which is creating a universe if every plant of the traditional will be shifted to the HDP. According to our research, around the 2,000 to 3,000 hectares is shifting from the traditional to the high density plantation every year, which is unlocking the value of a 500 to 1,000 crores. And this is not enough. Every year, this shift is also increasing. So I'm talking about only the back end. If you will see the front end value opportunities, then again, currently the Srinagar has got a capacity of storage is around 200,000 tons, which they are putting it into the onto the table against the production of around 30 lakh tons. There is a clear-cut opportunity. A lot of investment is going into the CA storage kind of facility and all those things. Apart from this, domestic demand is also increasing. And if you will see the per capita consumption, which is not even a 1/10 of our global counterparts. So that's the kind of a direct food consumption opportunity in India, which is also increasing at the rate of 4 to 5%. And from here itself, that's why every year the import dependency is increasing. Now, what 7-star will try to bring it onto the table. So let's talk about our interventions and what we are trying to unlock. See, our basic premises is that we need to make the country self-reliant on the apple. Don't need any kind of imports, and for that we are doing a lot of research into the market. We have brought a lot of partnerships so that the technological transfer would happen. The small farmers will get benefited out of the total technological interventions which global people are doing it at this particular moment in time. And in this particular last 3 to 4 years, we have intensively worked. We have partnered with the Cornell University. We have got an exclusive propagation and the sale right of a Geneva rootstock. Primarily in India, we are importing, the competition is importing M9, T337, NIC 29. So these are some of the varieties, but Geneva rootstock has got a additive advantage. When I interacted with the local farmers, they are absolutely I got surprised that they know the kind of a rootstock and the kind of a Geneva which has got the benefit. So they are saying that yes, it's very much resistant against the woolly aphids. It can be utilized on the replantation fields. So I'm quite astonished to know the knowledge base of the farmers. They are quite exposed to all those things. Then also we have got a rapid multiplication. For that we have got a facility at Jalna, and we have got facilities at the different places to replicate and supply to the domestic fraction. We are committed to the true to type disease-free planting material, and apart from that we have got exclusive club varieties also, like Cosmic Crisp, Snapdragon, Sunrise Magic is there. Apart from this, we have got the intervention in cherry plants also, and Gizla is our partner, wherein we are trying to bring it a lot of value into this crop also. As I mentioned, that partnership is the ball game, and that's the kind of a gold month we are taking it to the next level. And we have got, I'm proud to say that 7-Star is the member of Associated International Group of Nurseries also, and we have gotten good opportunity to interact with a lot of international breeders over there, what is happening in their country. So primarily the objective of 7-Star is to bring such kind of a technological intervention which is happening across the globe, bring it over here, take it to the small and the medium farmers, impact it on their yields, and bring it to the global level so that our production will happen it, and we will reduce the import dependency at this particular moment in time. This is the chart which we are trying to put it in front of the audience, so that they can see that what kind of a value the Geneva rootstock will bring it vis-a-vis the competitive rootstock which is currently available in the market. Last but not the least, yes, we are committed to provide the fully feathered plants to the farmers. We have categorized it, and we are committed to provide the A1 quality planting material to the farmers with a specific standards, so that farmers will get benefited, and with this particular benefited, their income can be enhanced, and from this particular level, we will be self-reliant into it. That's all in short about myself, about the prospect and the opportunities which we have got it, and what we are bringing it onto the table. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. Junaid, would you want to pose any sort of questions to Amit based on his presentation or based on his experience? I mean, their company's experiences in this value chain so far.
Abhijit, I think let us
will keep it
all the presentation, and we can have,
sure.
we can have a discussion at the end. It's
sure.
Very informative, and obviously wonderful to hear what the kind of work that is happening at Mexico's end on this.
So maybe with this, we would like to start off the startup innovation showcase, and I will request Junaid to take this over. So sequentially, we'll try to have Big Heart, then followed by Infiu Labs, and then Big Heart followed by Fasal. Then we have Source Trace, and last but not the least, we'll have Amit from Infiu Labs. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Abhijit.
Jitesh, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I have given you the control, Jitesh, in case you have a presentation to.
Sure. Thank you. I'll quickly take you all through what we're doing. Let me know when you can see my screen. Is my screen visible?
It is, but
Hold on. I have a split screen. Let me.
yeah.
What now?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for having me, and Abhijit especially. Thank you for inviting me on this panel. What I would like to do over the next few minutes is give a quick flavor in terms of what BigHeart is doing across the entire agri value chain. Definitely Apple is part of our value chain in terms of our crop list, but we are also a very crop agnostic platform because we cater to almost 12 million farmers across the country. Right. I think everyone's aware on how unorganized and fragmented the entire agriculture value chain is, and there are a lot of intermediaries involved. As a result of that, there is an information asymmetry, as well as the right price for input and or output is not reaching the farmer. So with that with that as our vision, and to see how we can be a more integral part of the farmer's life, and how do we keep farmer in the center and bring everything to him, it was the genesis for BigHeart. And if you look at our journey, in the first 4 years, we took up the larger problem statement, which is servicing the whole input space. And then once we did that, we also realized that the industry needed a very, very strong community-led platform. So then the next 2 years, along with inputs, we also focused and built our entire platform where we were able to create the entire engagement. And then, of course, a farmer is more interested or equally interested in also getting access to market to sell his output. And the whole market linkage program started last year for us. And now we've built a full stack platform or a 360-degree ecosystem platform provider, where not only are we doing inputs and outputs and or providing information on our platform, but we are also doing several things around providing advertising and marketing services to all the players in the industry, also doing lead gen for a lot of banking clients, and a lot of other stakeholders within the ecosystem. So we're now become a full stack 360-degree provider. Again, like I said, with farmer in the center, how do we get the right advisory for the right crop to him? How do we personalize and provide timely product recommendations? How do we take his product to the market? How do we drive market intelligence from whatever is happening on the platform, and then feed it back into the platform to ensure the user experience that a farmer goes through, and also availability of a genuine product at the right cost at the right time, right? So all of this then eventually comes in, and we are trying to leverage the various data points that are there on the platform to ultimately increase the livelihood of the farmer, and B, reduce his cost of cultivation. Again, our motto is to ensure that we provide genuine and quality agriculture input to farmers. The adulteration that takes place in our sector is significantly high, closer to the $8 billion mark. And as a result of that, how do we ensure that we are only partnering with the manufacturers and provide access to seeds across various categories, pesticides, tools and equipments, and fertilizers, and the entire spectrum, right? So with that as a forefront requirement that the farmer has, we have an agri store on our app where a farmer is able to transact in all of this. A little more detailing in terms of how do we provide a user experience to the farmer. So like I was mentioning a little earlier, providing the right advisory to the right farmer at the right time for the right crop and variety, right, and agroclimatic zone that he's in, becomes a very integral portion of our platform, which allows the whole democratization of knowledge to take place. And the farmer is then able to use that information to then make his, to enable his decision making in terms of what needs to happen when at the farm level. and personalization as well, where we are able to offer the platform in the vernacular language of a farmer, as well as having a lot of voice enabled services, because a lot of times while we may have a Telugu version of the app, for example, a farmer may not even know how to read or write, or does not know how to read or write in Telugu, right? So having that voice enabled experience on the platform was very critical. We've also been able to create community forums within the application itself, where a farmer to farmer interaction occurs, and B, a lot of social commerce occurs as well, where if a farmer has something to sell and another farmer wants to buy, all of those transactions are also enabled. And then the last one is the hero feature of the app, where a farmer can take a photo of the infected portion of the plant, and within 15 to 16 seconds on the farmer's handheld device, we are able to let him know what is the issue, or we are able to diagnose what the disease is, and also provide information on what products will help him mitigate these issues, right? So that is the power of the platform, where usage of AI and ML is leading to a better diagnostic solution to the farmer. Just a couple of images. And then again, since we have 12 million farmers on our platform over the last 7 years, we have 3 million active farmers every month. We get a lot of insights in terms of, what's happening across the country, for the specific crops, for the specific diseases, what are the stress levels in each of the state. And this becomes very critical information, where not only am I able to offer the right solution in the right place, but also I'm able to provide proximity related information services to the farmer, saying, Mr. Farmer, you have a black thrips issue going on 5 kilometers away from you, and chances are this will obviously come and hit you. So please be prepared, and please ensure that you have the right product to cater to it. And I spoke about how, we are also working on reducing the cost of cultivation through A, access to the right information, and B, making sure quality products are available, and also making sure that the products are available at the right price. We spoke about how we are also enabling the whole output linkage to the farmer, where we are able to purchase, grains and spices from either FPOs or those large aggregators and or individual farmers. And we are then able to offer to our institutional buyers, large traders, as well as exports. And one of the things that we are definitely enabling on the platform, because we are also exporting these products, is how do we bring traceability, where depending on the MRL requirements of a particular country, we are able to identify correctly, which farmer or which group of aggregators is able to give us the right quality of produce. And this is our roadmap on the traceability side, where we will work with various companies, we'll work with various farmers, make sure that all of the data points are available on the platform, the right images and the right content is gathered, which gives enough visibility. As a result of all of this, we've created a platform where we have very, very strong partnerships with input manufacturers, very, very strong partnerships with institutional buyers for our market linkages program, very, very strong partnerships with the whole BFSI segment, where we are able to offer credit as well as generate leads for all of these banks and fintechs on our platform. And then, of course, we work very, very closely with a lot of ecosystem partners as well. Like, for example, Mahindra & Mahindra TVS Credit, where for their customers, whenever there's a need for either information or a product required, we are able to partner and provide those to them. And again, the power of data, right? I'm able to right now tell what is the crop distribution across the country, what is the disease spread across the country. And as a result of this, how do input companies leverage this information to ensure that the right product is available at the right place. And also we use this information in-house to be able to tell the farmer that, look, this is going to happen or that's happening in your area. Just a quick snapshot from a number standpoint, we work very, very closely with almost 400 brands of input providers. We have the entire input category we spoke about. We almost have 10,000 plus SKUs on our platform. And this slide is a little old. We now have almost 3 million farmers who are our monthly active users. And we've seen a 700% growth year on year for the last few years. So as a result of this, we have 12 million plus farmers who are engaged on our platform. And we are able to deliver across 16,000 plus pin codes. So almost 92% of the country, we are able to deliver whatever products that the farmer wants, right? And this is our biggest strength, where the reach of our network is so strong that anything that a farmer may typically want can be delivered to his doorstep. Again, just a few other metrics, and that's our amazing team. So that's about it. Again, in conclusion, we have a platform-led model, platform-led approach, where we want farmer to be in the center, and everything should be available to the farmer at his fingertip or at his household. So with that as the vision, Bigad started about 7 years ago, and we've had a very interesting journey across the country. Over to you, Abhijit.
Thank you for that, Jitesh. I think that was very wonderful, informative, and certainly, the great work that Bigad is doing across the country is something we're all witnessing. I would now like to invite Dr. Nilesh Zende, the head of Agri Research at Fasal, to share insights from their end with us.
Okay, thank you, Junaid, and thank you all for this invite. And I am very happy to present what Fasal is doing in terms of our different activities in digital space for agriculture. My name is Dr. Nilesh Jende. I'm a head of Agri Research in Fasal, and Fasal typically focuses on various aspects of horticulture crops, and these horticulture crops are focused in major two categories, that fruits and vegetable. We are having our presence in most of the fruits and vegetable crops across the country. When we focus on apple, we see a lot of challenges apple growers face currently in terms of selecting right cultivars for their location. Typical challenges arising with irrigation management because of topography as well as soil types, variation in the geographies. The major concern is variation and within chilling hours required by varieties, as well as the chilling hours typically available at any location. Definitely every crop is faced challenges because of insect and disease damages, and at a farmer level the input cost is a major concern. What we are trying to offer across all the horticulture crops is a data driven crop management intelligence, and which specifically focuses on precise irrigation management, pest management, covering majority of insects and diseases across the crops. If we focus on apple, we have a variety of models covering different diseases and insects, covering alternaria, leaf spot, powdery mildew, scab, Marcinona, Sanjo scale, thrips, mites, and woolly aphids, focusing apple as a crop. Chilling hours is one of the solution offered to the Apple customers right now, and we have our presence in both Himachal and Jammu Kashmir. Also, Fasal offers microclimatic forecast at farm and region level based on our in-house AI-driven algorithms. And if we specifically talk about Fasal as organization, Fasal is a full stack platform for progressive horticulture anchored onto IoT-based AI-driven farm level, crop specific and crop state specific actionable intelligence. We are present across more than 60,000 acres farmland, covering 10 states in India, and majority of fruits and vegetable crops. Our solution comprises of localized data collection using our patented IoT unit. Also, we deliver farm level actionable advisory for specific crop and location combinations, resulting into improved quality and quantity of the produce. Along with, we offer services in terms of sorting, grading, packaging, along with helping farmers in selling their produce at fair prices in different markets in country. How this system works is basically we have our IoT unit, which is installed into the field, which collects data for various parameters at hourly interval, and that data is relayed to our server, where data is processed through our AI as well as agronomic models, and which generates automatic advisory for specific location, which is then relayed to users or farmers on our mobile application. We have 3 different SKUs in our portfolio when it comes to hardware or IoT units concerned. This is our main unit. This is a complete set of all the sensor we have, which covers the upper part covers the weather station, which have sensors for wind direction, wind speed, rain gauge, solar panel. Also, we have a lux sensor. Then basically we have our microclimatic sensor covering canopy, temperature and humidity, along with a leaf wetness sensor. And also we have 3 soil sensor, which comprises of soil temperature and 2 primary as well as secondary soil moisture sensors, which captures moisture content at different depths specific to the crop root zone. This unit offers advisory around weather forecast, disease and insect management, as well as irrigation management right now. The second SKU is basically soil moisture unit, which only comprises of soil sensor, that is soil temperature and soil moisture sensors, which can only deliver advisory related to irrigation management. Then we have an irrigation unit, which is basically just it is just missing this weather station, which then can be used to generate advisory for pest management and irrigation management, which comprises of sensors covering soil moisture temperature sensors, along with the canopy sensors for temperature, humidity, and leaf wetness. So we have very well developed established IoT unit now, which is a very robust system and runs on solar panel base power, and that runs 24/7. Also, it has a power battery backup, but in case there is very diffuse or less sunlight, the unit can be unit runs on battery power for almost 30 to 50 days. Also, we have developed our in-house agronomic models for various crops covering apple, areca nut, various fruits and vegetable and you can say plantation crops. And when we started initially, it used to take a lot of time in terms of completing the total development for any specific crop. We started with grapes. It took us a long time, up to 2.5 years. But now our model development process has evolved over the time, and now it takes hardly less than 3 months to finish all the developments related to any specific new crop. These are some of the screens from our mobile application showing various features of the application. These are the home screen, where user will be able to see variety of climatic parameter impact on crop specific to that geography, along with a satellite imagery based analysis, along with actionable advisory for users covering weather alerts, along with other model related alerts like irrigation and pest management. typical irrigation management advisory, we use variety of data parameters, but the critical parameter utilized here is a primary and secondary root zone soil moisture ranges. The primary soil moisture sensor basically installed at the active root zone of the crop, where we ascertain what is the level of moisture at a root zone, and the secondary is installed at further depth below crop root zone, typically defined for specific crops. This secondary sensors gives us information that is it the irrigation is optimum or over in terms of moisture content specific to that crop. And for that specific analysis, we use variety of parameters listed here on this slide, covering soil moisture related data as well as weather parameters, especially rainfall and evapotranspiration. When it comes to our pest model analysis, typically our models are defined based on optimum growth conditions specific to any pathogen or insect in focus. And typically we assume that the pathogen is present into any location. Given Indian scenario, typically that stands true for most of the locations. So we consider how this microorganism or insect will grow through its life cycle pattern. Along with, we compare that insects or pathogens requirement for optimum growth and compare with the microclimatic condition, and we arrive at certain risk levels. The current models, whatever we have live on our platform, considers 4 levels of risk. 3 mentioned here: low, medium, and high. But typically, there is also 4th called no risk, which is also considered when we generate certain notification alerts for that location, covering what is the problem for which farmer should look into his farm, along with a CIB RC recommended chemical names, along with a spray timer, typically which hours of the day are good for spraying into that field. The weather, when it comes to weather forecast, we share 14 hours forecast, hourly forecast on a daily basis, along with daily forecast for next 14 days. Our rainfall forecast comes into category of rain chances, along with a volume of rainfall forecast for those individual locations. Our presence across India is more than 10 states now, and also we have initiated a few projects outside India, specifically in Thailand as well as Indonesia, which are these projects are live right now, and multiple projects are under discussion for various crops. This is typically our crop portfolio and presence across different states within India, showcasing which crops typically we work across different states in India. So when it comes to Fasal's impact till date, we can certain about reduction in water usage in various crops to the tune of 40 to 60%. Definitely because of timely and localized information-based analysis for pest management or pest analysis, we can expect reduction in cost of crop cultivation cost up to 15%. Pesticide usage reduces definitely for up to the tune of 15 to 30%. There are great examples of showcasing yield improvement to the tune of even 40-50%. But if we talk about average, it is around 15 to 30% in terms of average yield improvement across all users of Fasal. All our customers are continued with us for the last 3 to 4 years now. The crop portfolio, we are improving on a continuous basis, and the focus is to target all horticulture crops. Also, there are major impacts on quality of the produce once farmers start utilizing fossil intelligence for its crop management. And definitely we are planning to expand our reach across geographies, and not only India but across APAC. These are some of our list of corporate clients working across different countries. Majority of them, I can say Bayer, Mahindra, as well as Deccan Exotics. Basically, we are working with them specifically for dragon fruit. Monsanto is with Monsanto, we are working on variety of crops, especially vegetables, as well as corn as a crop, focus crop for them. So that's it from my side. Happy to answer questions later.
Thank you, Dr. Nilesh. I would now like to invite Om Rutre from Source Trace to share the work they are doing at Source Trace's end in apple and the horticulture industry at large in India.
Thank you, Junaid, and thank you, Abhijit. So what I'll try to do is, I know the focus is on apples, but I'll probably just go beyond apples and show what we are doing for other crops, so we can show, today, if somebody wants to, then what we can do in apples too. Right. So we are a complete value chain platform for agri and food companies. And in brief, what we do is not just on the farm end. So while I'll focus what we do at the farm end, I also want to talk about what we do with crops post-harvest. So for example, let's say if you're an exporter or a food processing company, for you, the journey may begin post-harvest. So at Source Trace, we kind of work with you, whether you're working on contract farming models, whether you are a farmer cooperative, or whether you're a food company. No matter where you interact with food, right down to the retail aisle, we have a solution, and I'll probably show you glimpses of what we do there. Our current footprint is across 39 countries. We are very crop agnostic, and we currently work indirectly with 2 million farmers. So small farmers don't exactly use our solution directly. So we work with farmers through an intermediary, which can be, a cooperative, a company, or a government. Right. So our basic solution is called Data Green. I'm going through the slides faster because I'll try to finish within 10 minutes and probably take questions later. Right. So the solution combines different technologies, which you can see at the bottom. Not all our projects use all technologies or combinations. So depending on, let's say, where your crop is, what crop it is, what is your intermediary model, and the number of stakeholders involved, the technology footprint changes from project to project. So for apples and horticultures, what we have been doing is, broadly, what we have done is tree-level traceability. So in horticulture, and especially in export value chains, what you want to do is, you also want to look at not just the health of the crop, but also the cost of production, right? So, as you can see, we start by identifying, the farmer and the farm. Right? Where is your farm? What is the farm? What is the soil quality? That's where we start from. Today in 2022, that benefits because given that we have been collecting a lot of soil data for last 5-6 years, if any of our clients want to move to, let's say, calculating greenhouse gas emissions or carbon footprint calculation, I'm not talking about carbon trading yet, but let's say if you want to do carbon footprint calculation, we can do that right away for our existing customers. Right? So, capturing soil data, capturing farm practices, capturing tree-wise, which tree is giving you more fruits year over year. So we start by capturing all that granular data over a historic period, and then on the post-harvest side, let's say if you're procuring from hundreds of different farmers in Himachal or let's say Kashmir, how do you keep your procurement lines separate? How do you make sure that your apples don't mix anywhere in the value chain? How do you make sure that you identify, let's say one crate has an issue? Can you go back right back to the farmer and identify that the problematic apples came from a particular farm or farmer? And then also, not just identifying, but how do you then improve your, farmer database? For example, who needs input usage, maybe better inputs? Who needs training? If a farmer wants to become a part of any certification program, then how do you track that journey? Did he attend classes? Is he, following processes that you have prescribed? And does that have an impact on his product? So also kind of a managing farmer life cycles. And then, with traceability, we have come to understand that it means origin, but we are going beyond origin. So in most of our government projects, we also capture farmer, bank, let's say Aadhaar card details or bank details. So right now, we are not doing it in Apple. We are in talks to do it in coffee. But for example, let's say if you have a retail packet with a QR code, which gives Apple origin story, but the same way that you tip a Uber driver or a Zomato delivery boy. If you want to say that if you like the apples, you can directly tip the farmer, right? So we can do that today. But sadly, I think, the tech has evolved beyond the market. So we have been going to a lot of people with the solution saying, the demand of the time, especially in post-COVID era, is to identify progressive farmers, not just in farmer cooperatives, but also in commercial companies. If you want to show traceability, you can also, the company benefits, the customer benefits, but the farmer benefits when you enable something like tipping a farmer, right? When you identify and display that farmer data. And lastly, on the retail aisle, we are doing a lot of interactivity or gamification. I'll probably talk about that later. So in apples, what we can do is also look at how does the apple travel from, as I said, from pre-harvest or harvest, right down to how does it move through the trucking partners, the logistics, and the warehouse. So many warehouses in India are now becoming smart. So whether it is smart or unsmart, we can actually track when was it harvested, who was it harvested by, has it been saved? Is it being transported under the conditions that you want to? And especially if there are any kind of failures, be it temperature, be it moisture, be it any kind of failures within the warehouse. So identifying that and giving the data, all this data to you through a single interface. For example, right now, for one of our warehouse customers, we are also, the moment the truck enters the warehouse, there is a weigh bridge and there is a camera. So we are, let's say, for example, when the truck leaves the procurement site to when it enters the warehouse, automatically capturing the number and the weight to see that, it hasn't stopped on the way. And it has, it has the exact same produce that you procured on the farm. So tracking through the supply chain digitally has also, it has a carbon offset number that if you can somehow show that you have reduced losses within the supply chain, we can also convert that into a carbon data. So I'll show you, we actually have an active customer in Chili's, which is using the whole solution. And what we are doing here is, showing you what traceability can mean is not just the location of the farm. You can see the logistics details here. But what's interesting is, the last screen, if you can come to this, is the amount of pesticide that is being sprayed on that particular crop. So this is a contract farming model where the company prescribes a few pesticides and forbids the farmer from using other pesticides, which are banned in the US. So through random inspection, through constant monitoring, the company makes sure that the farmers are not exactly using any pesticides or inputs which are not on the list of approved drugs. So if any farmer does not follow those conditions, they can earmark or trademark that farmer for that procurement season, saying this is not going to into the export container. Right? So with apples, we can also do that. That how do you, if you have two very different value chains, for one for the domestic market, one for the export market, how do you keep your export market free from any kind of contamination? On the farm, again, I'll probably come to a use case which you have again. Apologies for this not being a Apple use case. But let's say if you want to track your trees on the orchard and say which trees are giving me better fruits. So we did that for a palm oil plantation. Where each fruit is weighed, each tree is tracked individually in terms of irrigation, in terms of input usage, and also at the time of harvest, the fruit size. So what we then do is we give a visual map of which team was doing the harvesting. So you also monitor your personnel, and then also give you so give you a pictographic map of where are your better producing trees are, and if the other trees need any kind of change in input or irrigation profile. Right. We're also working in Philippines on coconuts, where, as you can see, I mean, here this is, so they have two different value chains within the same farm, as in the same plantation. So there is a organic and there is a inorganic coconuts. So, how we differentiate the two procurement cycles, how do we differentiate the products? And then how also we go back to training and retraining the farmer while they move from inorganic to organic production. Right? So, I'll stop here. I've almost finished my 10 minutes. So any questions, I'd like to take them later. Thank you. Thank you, Junaid.
Thank you again, may I now request Amit Srivastav, co-founder and CEO at Infiu Labs, to tell us a little bit about what they are doing.
Hi, Junaid. First of all, very thanks for inviting us, and thanks, Abhijit, for the same. It was a lovely hearing to all of the panelists before me, and now I would like to share my screen and briefly take you guys through what we have been doing at Infiu Labs. I hope my screen is visible to you all and I'm properly audible. Yes? Yeah. Hello, everyone. This is Amit Srivastav, co-founder CEO of Infiu Labs, where we are creating portable technologies to determine internal quality of fresh fruits and vegetables without cutting them at the source of procurement itself. So the idea behind this is, when we have been going through this
Sorry to
entire
interrupt,
supply
Amit.
chain and
Your slide is still, I mean, it has not been loaded.
oh, okay. Just a second. Is it visible?
No, not yet. It's still showing loading.
Let me just share it once. Is my screen is visible now?
Yeah, your screen is visible. We can see your slides.
Yeah.
It's visible now.
Okay. So I'll be putting on the slideshow. Let me know if it comes on. You can see now, right?
No, it's still loading. If it's a big size, maybe you can just move the slides, not going into the slideshow mode.
Yeah. Let me do this itself to save the time. Just yes. Very apologies for all the inconvenience. I hope you can see through this mode.
Yeah, we can see this.
Yeah. Okay. So hi everyone. So as I mentioned about, so we are into post-harvest quality management solutions. So we create portable solutions to determine internal quality of fresh fruits and vegetables without cutting them at the source of procurement itself. Now, before I go towards our work, I'll briefly tell you about the problems which we have seen from our eyes about the issues which throughout this post-harvest management. Like, there are wide-known factors around one third of the perishable across the world is getting into wastages. But when it comes to a country like India, number shoots to 48 to 52%, which means that half of the produce which we are growing is getting wasted into different nodes of the supply chain. Now, a study says that roughly 35 to 40 is getting wasted into different nodes, starting from farmer to cold storage to packaging collection center, or by the time it comes to a retail market like us, and so we receive a sort of like a slightly lower quality than what we are expected to. So uh, one of the key things which we have been focused on to this aspect is how we can make sure that whenever there is a node, which the node which I'm talking about, either it's farm, cold storage, or packaging, how do we make sure that a smooth transaction happen with a proper data-based decision making? So what do I mean by that is currently, whenever any such sort of consignment which goes from one end to other hand has to go through a process called sample testing, in which barely 0.5 to 0.1% of the entire consignment was earlier tested, to take any decision making. And we believe that statistically or mathematically, it's invalid to determine any health of the consignment at first place. And now the issue was all of these nodes, whenever there is a sample testing has to occur, it was pretty time consuming process, and it requires a lot of labor intensive work with a scientific instrumentation operating and so on. And at the end of the day, there was less to minimum traceability with everything manual data entry. Now, what it was further leading to, everyone, is mistrust mistrust in the quality between a buyer and a seller. So how it happens is, buyer, when they put an order for any consignment, they have certain sort of expectations in terms of quality. How does it look? What sort of sweetness, firmness, or so on it has to be there inside, and how many days it's going to come, and so on. So they put order onto it, but they are also aware about the losses which occurs into it. So accordingly, sometimes they have to reduce their margins for it. And same thing goes with the grower's mindset as well, that whenever they have to supply to big buyers, they have to take out their all of the grades which they are growing in, but good amount of time they don't get the prices which they deserve in the market and so on. So due to which, that is where Infio comes into the picture by bridging this quality mistrust through technology. What we do is we sort of created IoT-based handheld devices which can determine this internal quality of fresh fruits and vegetables without cutting them at the source of procurement itself, thus giving an option to do the quality testing at the source of procurement itself, as compared to the earlier where the consignment, the samples from the consignment were brought towards the lab. Here with us, one can take our solution, go towards the source of procurement or on a truck or anywhere and check, whether this consignment is holding the quality which you would require or not. And all of this test we do without cutting the fruit itself. So we use some principles of infrared spectroscopy powered by artificial intelligence, all our in-house development of models and machine learning algorithms, which helps us probabilistically determine what's the sweetness of my fruit is, what's my sourness, firmness, ripeness, diameter, shelf life, internal spoilages, and so on. So we roughly, predict 10 plus quality parameter required in industry for taking any decision, and have been working across 19 plus SKUs, apples, mangoes, or pomegranates as well, or all citrus categories like oranges, sweet lime, or even hardshell community like watermelon and muskmelon.
In fact, I'm actually excited to tell you that in certain commodities, apart from determining the general parameter, we have something more to offer. In case of pomegranates, we can even determine what's its internal color without cutting it just from outside itself. Or in something like in apples, we can also determine its internal spoilage as well as internal temperature. In fact, more than that, to something like mangoes, we have achieved a very marginal success that we can now predict whether a mango is carbide ripened or naturally ripened. Because you all must be aware that carbide being carcinogenic in nature, it leads to cancer and a lot of other deformities when there is a prolonged consumption of it. And we have very interesting case studies which I would like to discuss further of our specific fruits, and we pick any specific fruit category, work on their different breeds and so on, and then accordingly we determine for it. Now the entire our offerings is not just limited to one hardware device or so on. We have been present across other aspects of it, from providing analytics to the traceability. When it comes to analytics, we also supply AI-based web dashboard to
Amit,
the big buyers.
Amit, if I can just, there's some disturbance at your end. I mean, I don't think we are able to hear you very clearly. There's a lot of noise at your end.
Is my voice is very down right now?
Now it is perfect.
Now it's fine. There's a lot of disturbance. I don't think anybody was able to hear you.
Apologies for that. I'm just sitting somewhere outside, so that's why it could be. Yeah. So coming to this aspect of it, from analysis to traceability, with our AI-based web dashboard, the big buyers or the warehouse owners and all can keep track of their inventory, keep track of their incoming or outgoing quality, and take a decision. So it should not be always like FIFO, first in, first out. Rather, it could be more on the quality which is there in the market and so on. And as well as everything is well equipped with QR-based quality traceability. To summarize, this is how our food graded commerce looks like. So to distribution center, collection center, cold storages or warehouses, our hardware is being used by the QA guy over there to take the purchasing decision onto the consignment as well. More than that, to growers and FPOs, our solution is being used to generate the commodity report, the quality report of it, which is being then further supplied to big buyers as well, to bridge the quality traceability gap, as well as to retail and QR-based quality traceability from farm to fork. So with that, would like to end my presentation onto it. It's a brief presentation about what our work has been doing. We have been getting various support from various team partner, and very apologies for the ground disturbance which has been happening from here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Amit. I think we had a wonderful conversation across different opportunities, work, and definitely some of the cutting edge interventions being done, starting definitely at the farm level in terms of genetics, mechanization. I think weather predictability, integrating technology with pest management. I have a few questions which I'm happy to pose to the panelists. I will also encourage if there are any questions that the panelists have for each other, that can we can do it either after I'm done, or I can request the panelists to speak once I'm done with the individual question. So I think let's make this next 15 to 20 minutes more interactive, and also talk about how all of us as corporates can bring in a holistic vision in transforming the larger horticulture opportunity. While we're all talking about apple here, but I think there is a substantial horticulture opportunity throughout the country where most of our work are based. So we can even extrapolate to that. I wanted to start with Amit from Mahiko. Amit, can you hear me?
Yeah, pretty well, Junaid. Please carry on.
Wonderful. So, Amit, I think we would all love to hear. Your company has collaborated with Cornell on some joint work. I mean, we would love to hear about your experiences therein, because I think collaborating with such a leading institution globally is one part of the process of learning, but also very enriching, both from a scientific point of view initially, and then the vocational aptitude that you're bringing to it as a company. So would love to hear a little bit more about that, and any plans in collaborating with similar institutions, perhaps in Europe or India, or setting up something on the R&D side at that scale in India?
Thanks for the question. I would like to answer it in a broader perspective in terms of like the perspective of 7-star, which is a part of a micro group, is pretty clear that whatever the technological transformation and the partnership which is happening on the back of the envelope is primarily enriching the farmers and bringing the value to them, so that whatever the international breeders, the companies, they are doing it, the research back in their countries, try to bring those particular technologies and genetics onto the table. Yes, on Cornell, yes, we have got the opportunity to closely work with them and trying to bring the genetics. So that's there, yes, and this is something we need to launch it in commercially across India along with the small farmers. So looking forward to such kind of a partnerships over the period of time.
Well, I would wish you the best. I consider myself a farmer first and an entrepreneur second. So we will be looking forward to that, and I certainly hope that we can have our own breeding program in India in the years to come. Certainly in Apple.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for the good wishes, and I'll keep you posted, Junaid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jitesh, just moving on to you. I think, like I mentioned earlier in my remarks, I think we all know the way Big Heart has transformed itself in the last few years. Just wanted to understand a little bit more about the traction of e-commerce, specifically on agri inputs, and the consequent farmer engagement there, broadly for horticulture and Apple more specifically. Also, what your outlook is in the short and medium term, given the varied regulations or the varied regulations state-wise within India in ag inputs.
Thank you, Junaid, for those wonderful questions, and apologies in advance because there's some background traffic noise from my side too. All right, so first and foremost, in terms of what has caused the enablement of farmers becoming digitally savvy, a couple of landmark/historic events occurred. One was when Reliance Jio was launched. It led to very, very high internet penetration in the rural parts of the country. And then unfortunately, when COVID occurred, that forced the farmers to start enabling themselves digitally. Depending on who you speak to, roughly 85 to 86% is the penetration of smartphones in India today, which means that every farming household has at least one smartphone available with him. Now, whether that is being used by the farmer himself or herself, or being used by the kids, and the kids are enabling the farmer, that is something which is not entirely clear. But every farming household on an average these days has at least one smartphone. Now, as a result of that, the content consumption of a farmer has dramatically increased, right? Whenever I do my farmer surveys or village surveys these days, every farmer has either an Amazon or Flipkart on his phone, at least the progressive ones. Every farmer, regardless or not whether he's progressive, has Google Pay or Phone Pay on their phone, which means that if we are able to create a platform where the farmer thinks that it is indispensable for him and he would lose out by not being on the platform, that is how we generate the interest of the farmer. And that's precisely what Big Heart is doing. So our first interaction with the farmer today, or of a new farmer today, is when he comes to consume content on our platform. Content could be short form videos, long videos, agronomy practices, mandi price, weather information. I was mentioning about the diagnostics tool that we have. So all of this becomes the first lever where the farmer comes onto our platform. And then over a period of 2 to 3 months, when he realizes that, yes, this platform is actually giving me content which is adding value to my life, that's when he begins to have faith in us. And that's when he starts having his first purchase. And we've seen, typically a farmer, for him to buy seed from anyone is the most critical decision he makes. And we've seen a lot of our first-time users, because they've established trust with us on our content, are now finally able to believe in us and able to and are buying seats from us. This then we closely track in terms of both user journey, where we want the farmer to continually adopt our platform for a variety of his use cases, as well as a seed customer eventually becoming a crop protection customer, eventually becoming an implements customer, farm equipment and machinery, and then doing that whole cycle for his next season. Right. So that's the modus operandi that Begart operates. And a majority of our revenue today or sales today comes from horticulture crops, and apple definitely being a portion of it. So yeah, that's the broad answer to Junaid, a couple of the questions that you had asked. And in terms of our outlook, obviously extremely bullish. Today, for example, the country has 146 million farmers, and we have digitally touched only 12 million farmers in the last 7 years. Now, as the digital savviness continues to increase, as the livelihoods of farmers continue to increase, we definitely want to enable the entire ecosystem across the country, and we want to do it a lot sooner than the 7 years we took to get to 12 million farmers. Yes, Junaid.
Thank you for that, Jitesh. And I'm sure all of us wish you the best in that ahead. Coming to Dr. Nilesh now. Dr. Nilesh, can you hear me?
Yeah, Junaid.
I think specific to the work that Fasal is doing, I would love to hear whether you captured and you did mention that Fasal is working on Apple. So I would love to hear any data that you captured on the Apple grower benefits post Fasal's intervention in this specific domain, and how you see this playing out going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Junaid, for that question. Definitely, we are focusing on Apple for last 2 years now, and our recent this year's analysis, I can say that most of the growers have benefited a lot from our irrigation advisory majorly. Also, there is a large population out of total population. I can say it's not that big right now, but we are reaching somewhere around 100 users in Apple in Himachal specifically, and their majority of them have seen a lot of benefit in terms of pest model output for them. The major benefit we can see for Apple growers when they try to adopt such predictive analysis based technology, where the data being captured from the local from their farm itself. I've been personally working in a digital model development for a long time, and the majority of digital developments utilize weather service-based data to process models, where the accuracy of a specific that input is not that great. But when we are capturing information specifically from that field, it gives you a lot of good output and a good result in terms of using that information to manage the crop wherever or any crop for that purpose. The specific challenges for Apple is basically a terrain. The terrain pose a lot of variation, because if you imagine the apple is grown on the hillside, the climate varies a lot in terms of elevation in that process. Even in the same orchard at the same elevation in categorized form, low, mid, and high altitude, the weather also behaves differently at steps of that hill itself. That being considered, farmer need to understand first thing, the apple growers typically needs to understand one thing is this variation will remain forever, and for that purpose the use of technology has to be a kind of a collaborative rather than just a one way, that I am the facility is sharing certain input to the user or a customer and they are just trying to figure it out, it is right or wrong. Better than that, they should consider the participation into this thing, so that Fussell delivers output throughout the variation of their orchard, and then collaboratively we decide how to move ahead on the management aspect of it. That helps a lot when it comes to apple kind of a terrain. Rest of the crops where the terrain is not a difficulty at all, fossil is doing great in terms of grapes or pomegranate or guava, or even in case of bananas. We are doing great because the terrain is not that difficult. That is, there is no too much variation within the topography of a same field or orchard in that case. So apple being a challenging crop for us, but eventually we could do a lot of good things around apple. This year, for the next season, we already devised a very innovative chilling hours model, which will help farmers to see things in a different way, and that will help them to plan their next season in a well-informed manner, rather than just calculating how many chilling hours. But we are trying to bring in chilling hours model specific to a variety, so that they see what will be, or what kind of a season we can expect next year, along with other loads of benefit in terms of improvised model for all aspects of crop management where fossil is working.
Well, thank you, Dr. Nilesh, for that articulate answer. I'm sure as people see the results of your work, it will continue to grow with that word of mouth, and farmers will appreciate the kind of value add your services bring. Moving on, I think, and this is, I think, I want to focus on traceability, obviously here, and more than Apple, the propensity of or the opportunity of having traceability in India as a product versus what we see in the West, and the kind of traction that you've seen in it in India in the last few years, and how you expect this to evolve. I think if we just talk about this a little bit more in specific, and the openness of I think the openness of the larger ecosystem to actually embracing it fully and taking it forward. So that would certainly be I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Junaid, but I'll probably take the liberty of being the only pessimistic guy on the panel, right? So there is a huge scope, yes, and we have been targeting Apple for last 4 years now. But I'll say, you asked me to compare, so I'll just compare, not just with, let's say, West where it's consumed, but other exporting countries, right? Yes. Africa and Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia has a fruit called durian, which is exported from smaller countries to, let's say, China. And we see a lot of traction there. I mean, the tree level traceability, everything that I said theoretically is being done in that crop. Now producers are going to the level that they're saying, I will offer my customers the option of booking fruits from the same tree for the next year. Right? So that's what traceability can do when the customer is eager to implement the whole hog. Right? In Africa, again, we see the same thing in vanilla and coffee. As I said, tip the farmer will probably happen in coffee first. In vanilla, we are seeing a lot of similar innovations. With coming to India and specifically apples, we have seen, I showed a chili use case. I mean, that's one. We work a lot with other spices too. Somehow we see a lot more traction in spices than in fruits, and I'm not just talking about of apples. I'm sure exporters are probably.
If I can just add one question, is it perhaps the nature of the packaged product that spices are finally consumed in, versus again, as much as horticulture is also consumed in a certain packed form, but I think it's packed and processed in terms of spices and perhaps graded better, that enables that. So just adding
Yes.
on.
I don't know if it's packaging. I mean, that two things happen. In spices, Indian exports took a little bit of hit during the COVID years. I mean, the numbers jumped, but the the prices that you're getting in a few crops, I mean, kind of a drop. There are, I mean, I would call scandals, but there are also a few issues with a few exports.
Okay.
So maybe it's word of mouth in the spice community that we are seeing the result of. In fruits, I'm not too sure. I mean, are we waiting for exports to be rejected? But outside of again, I'm not too sure how many people exporters are using the APIDA system, but and the exporters that we have talked to don't exactly have a traceability system yet. But I see that sword coming down. I mean, you will see exporters being demanded to share more data because that's already happening in other countries or other regions. So I'll probably have a very different story to tell next year.
Well, certainly, I from a personal experience, I certainly believe in Apple with the conversion to high density and the hope that we are also changing larger farm level dynamics, and there's a lot more progression in the entire value chain. I think if we can, once we reach that inflection point where high quality fruit even in India in Apple is fundamentally comparable to what we are importing from US or Europe. I think traceability will be a key in assuring the end customer of the validation, or the correct source of the product and the way it has been handled through the chain. I personally do believe. I think we are a few years away, but with the progression in the value chain, I'm certain it will happen. Moving on to Amit Srivastav. Amit, I think the one thing I really wanted to ask was how, what are the kind of challenges you face in pitching this offering, or your specific offering to people across the value chain that you're dealing with, which is farmers, aggregators, cold storages, retailers. You have a fairly wide spectrum of potential customers. But what are the specific challenges that you're facing, and how are you looking to address them and expanding this opportunity for the value chain?
Interesting question, Junaid. The challenge which you have asked is, I would say, the quote and unquote 20-year of experience. The more of the time, whenever we try to present this solution to a certain level of stakeholder, the one thing is always there that I already know my Apple. Why do I need a solution for it? That is where we try to convey, and trust me when I'm saying that we have seen actually this 20-year of experience coming onto the aspect that no, this never happens. Like when we talk about in terms of so we deal with this parameters called bricks, pH, firmness, and so on. So there is always a challenge that we know this better than a technology, how this can solve what we are requiring for that sort of aspect. That is where how we are working on, Junaid, is we are getting more on service oriented as well. So we know that this ecosystem would require efforts from our side to implement technology at such a ground scale. I'm talking about even at a small warehouses where there were traditional practices were happening. So our ground team is actually more active, to go onto the sites, work with the QA team directly, first of all, to help them understand how it's benefiting them or not, or if they have any specific feedback for us as well, because we are also a young startup, also learning from them what we can implement onto it. But we are just going towards this one mission itself, that how we can digitize this transaction process as well as reduce perishable wastages, which is because one of the cause for that is improper decision making at the time of procurement itself. So that is what we are targeting towards.
Okay, thank you for that, Amit. And again, wishing you the best ahead. Would love to hear if any of the panelists have any questions for each other. Otherwise, we can look forward to wrapping up this conversation. Okay.
There is an audience question. So in case Amit can basically respond to this.
Yeah, actually, I was typing for that, but yes, to answer it over here itself, Mr. Shashidhar, we don't actually cover the genetics aspect of it, rather just a meta aspect of what sort of breed, what sort of things are there. And more than that, yes, the technology can be well applied to grains and other products. So here you have seen fruits aspect of it, but you also work in certain set of vegetables, and in fact, we are also working a little bit onto non-perishable aspects of it. So I can have a separate discussion with you on those if it requires.
Great, thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you once again to all the panelists, and thank you to ThinkAg for providing this wonderful platform for all of us to get together, share our views and the work that we are doing in the larger spectrum in Indian agriculture and horticulture. I look forward to meeting some of you soon in person ahead, and wishing you all the best. Abhijit, onward to you.
No, thank you. I mean, this has been a very informative session and also a deep dive. We hadn't done this in an earlier one, so that was purely a industry discussion. But this definitely showcased the interesting solutions not only in apple but also similar crops in horticulture, which is definitely an eye opener for some of our interested audience. I do believe that there definitely are opportunities for multi-stakeholder partnerships, and we definitely would like to follow up on any such interest coming in from anyone. Happy to basically handhold some of the discussions and also basically organize some of the one-to-one meetings. So thanks from here, and we definitely would like to continue this discussion going forward. Of course, the format might change because now, since post-COVID, there have been a lot of physical events, lot of movement of people here and there. So we also physically feel that probably this might not be the only option, and we also need to explore other options as well. And definitely having some physical event on this important subject and on this important crop definitely is required. So thank you so much, Junaid, for supporting us in this second bit. And thanks to everyone, all the speakers of all the 5 organizations for giving your time and basically informing the entire ecosystem about your exciting and your interesting work, and hope to associate with you further. Thank you.